The old mining elevator creaked as it descended into the depths of Mars' largest lead mine. Tom Walker stood inside, one hand gripping the safety rail while the other held his grandfather's battered datapad. The screen showed the same message he'd read 20 times already. URGNT. Alien Trade Delegation requests meeting regarding Walker mining operations. Tom snorted. What could aliens possibly want with his family's lead mine? It was practically a museum piece compared to the automated mineral extraction facilities that dotted the rest of Mars' surface. While other mining operations had switched to advanced laser drilling and molecular separation, the Walkers still used traditional drilling and refining methods. The elevator stopped with a gentle thud. Tom stepped out into the familiar tunnel, his boots leaving prints in the reddish dust. The air recyclers hummed their constant song, a sound that had been the backdrop to his entire life. He'd been born in this mine, just like his father before him, and his grandfather before that. "Morning, boss," called out Jack, one of his oldest workers, operating an ancient drilling machine. "Heard anything more about them aliens?" "Nothing yet," Tom replied, watching the drill bite into the rock face. "Still don't understand why they'd be interested in lead, of all things. Galaxy's supposed to be full of fancy new materials." He walked past the processing station where raw ore was being crushed and refined. The methods they used hadn't changed much in the last century. Simple, reliable, and decidedly low-tech. While the rest of human space had eagerly adopted alien technology after first contact 50 years ago, the Walker mine had stuck to what worked. In his office, really just a carved-out cave with some furniture, Tom sat down at his desk and studied the monthly production reports. They were one of the last human-owned mines still producing pure lead. Most others had either gone bankrupt or sold out to big corporations that switched to mining rare earth elements for the galactic market. A soft beep from his communication terminal interrupted his thoughts. "Mr. Walker," the automated voice announced, "your presence is requested in the surface facility. The alien delegation has arrived ahead of schedule." Tom's heart skipped a beat. He'd expected at least another day to prepare. Standing quickly, he grabbed his jacket, the one with the Walker mining patch his mother had sewn on years ago, and headed for the elevator. The ride up seemed faster than usual. Tom used the time to dust off his clothes and run through what little he knew about alien trade protocols. Not much, if he was honest. The Walker family had always focused on mining, leaving the complicated stuff to others. The surface facility's airlock cycled, and Tom stepped into the reception area. He stopped dead in his tracks. Through the reinforced windows, he could see 3 alien ships hovering above the landing pad. They were beautiful in a strange way, all curved lines and shimmering force fields, making his facility look like ancient history in comparison. "Mr. Walker," a synthesized voice spoke from a translator device. "We appreciate your prompt response." The alien speaking was tall, with iridescent skin that reminded Tom of oil on water. Its translator badge glowed softly as it continued. "I represent the Mercantile Alliance. We have traveled quite far to discuss your unique operation." "Welcome to Walker Mining," Tom replied, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "Though I'm still not sure what brings you all this way. We're just a simple lead mine." The alien's expression changed in a way Tom couldn't interpret. "Simple," it said, "is a matter of perspective, Mr. Walker. Your operation may be more valuable than you realize." Tom noticed how the alien's eyes kept darting to the stack of lead ingots visible through the storage room window. There was something almost like hunger in that gaze, though he couldn't figure out why. Lead was about as basic as materials got, wasn't it? The alien gestured to the conference room. "Shall we discuss business? We have an offer that might interest you." As Tom led the way, he couldn't shake the feeling that his grandfather's stubborn insistence on keeping the old ways might turn out to be the best decision the Walker family had ever made. The conference room of Walker Mining wasn't much to look at. Its metal walls were plain, and the table was scratched from years of mining reports being slid across its surface. But right now, it was hosting the strangest meeting in the facility's history. Three aliens sat across from Tom, their iridescent skin reflecting the harsh overhead lights. The leader, who had introduced itself as Trademaster Shell, placed a small device on the table. It projected a hologram of the galaxy, making Tom's old paper maps on the wall look like children's drawings. "Mr. Walker," Shell spoke through its translator, "your operation is the last major source of pure lead in this sector of space. Our scans show your extraction methods, while primitive, produce the purest samples we've encountered." Tom leaned back in his chair, trying to hide his surprise. Pure lead isn't hard to make. Any decent refinery could produce it. The aliens exchanged looks that Tom couldn't read. The smallest one, wearing what looked like a scientist's outfit, spoke up. "That is incorrect. Modern refineries are too efficient. They remove elements we consider impurities but are essential for our needs." Tom thought about the old processing equipment his grandfather had refused to upgrade. "So our outdated methods actually help." "Precisely," Shell replied. "We are prepared to offer significant compensation for your entire year's production. Advanced medical technology, FTL drives, energy shields. Name your price." The third alien, who hadn't spoken yet, placed a small cube on the table. It expanded into a detailed hologram of what looked like a starship. "This vessel could be yours," Shell continued, "complete with crew training and maintenance for 5 years. Tom stared at the beautiful ship but remembered his father's words. If someone's offering you everything, they're hiding something. He stood up slowly. "Mind if I show you around the facility first? I'd like you to see exactly what you're buying." The aliens agreed, though Tom noticed they seemed reluctant to leave the climate-controlled conference room. He led them through the airlock and toward the main processing plant. Their environmental suits hummed softly as they walked. Inside the plant, old machines rumbled and clanked, processing raw ore into pure lead ingots. Tom watched the aliens carefully. Every time a fresh ingot emerged from the cooling line, their suits' sensors lit up like Christmas trees. "Your technology," the scientist alien said. "It's so basic, yet the results." It trailed off, staring at a stack of lead bars. "Basic works," Tom replied. "Been working for 3 generations. Question is, why does the Mercantile Alliance need so much lead? Can't be for radiation shielding. You've got better materials for that." Shell's translator crackled. "Our needs are complex. The price we offered." A loud clang interrupted them. One of the workers had accidentally knocked over a cart of ingots. Tom watched in fascination as the aliens jumped back, their protective shields flaring to life. But something odd happened. The shields flickered and failed where the lead bars passed through them. Tom filed that observation away carefully. "Sorry about that. Safety protocols aren't quite up to galactic standards yet." "No matter," Shell said quickly, but Tom noticed its skin had changed color slightly. "Shall we return to negotiations?" Back in the conference room, Tom looked at the hologram of the offered starship. It was beautiful, advanced, and probably worth a fortune. But his grandfather had taught him another lesson. Information is worth more than gold. "I appreciate the offer," Tom said slowly, "but I need time to consider it. Lead mining is a family business. Can't make decisions like this without consulting everyone." The aliens' disappointment was visible even through their environmental suits. "Of course," Shell replied. "We will return in 3 standard days. Please, don't make any other arrangements before then." As Tom watched their ships depart, he couldn't help but smile. They'd just told him everything he needed to know. Not with their words, but with their reactions. Now he just had to figure out why the most advanced civilization in the galaxy was afraid of one of humanity's oldest metals. Tom spent the next 2 days in his grandfather's old office, surrounded by dusty books and mining manuals. The ancient computer terminal hummed as he searched through decades of research about lead. Something about the aliens' reaction to the fallen ingots kept nagging at him. "Boss." Jack knocked on the doorframe. "Found something interesting in the old storage room. Think you should see this." Tom followed his worker through the dimly lit corridors to a section of the mine they rarely used. Jack pointed to a shelf filled with what looked like ancient guns. "These were your grandfather's," Jack explained, picking up one of the weapons. "Lead bullets. He never trusted energy weapons, said they were too complicated." Tom picked up one of the bullets, rolling it between his fingers. "Jack, what do you know about alien shield technology?" "Not much," Jack admitted. "Just that nothing can get through them. Energy, plasma, even physical objects bounce right off." Tom smiled slowly. "Nothing except lead, apparently." He told Jack about the incident with the fallen ingots. "Their shields failed, just for a second, but they definitely failed." Jack whistled. "No wonder they're so interested in buying us out. But why would lead affect their shields?" Tom turned to the old computer terminal mounted on the wall. "Computer, access archive footage from 2 days ago. Processing plant cameras." The screen flickered to life, showing the incident with the fallen ingots. Tom played it frame by frame. "Look at their shields when the lead touches them. They don't just fail. They seem to pass through them completely. Like they're not even there," Jack muttered. "But how?" Tom thought about his high school physics classes. Their shields must work on some kind of energy frequency principle. Maybe lead's atomic structure disrupts it somehow. The question is, do all aliens use the same shield technology? He spent the next hour making calls to other mining colonies. Each time, he asked the same casual questions about their alien visitors. The pattern was clear. Every alien species they dealt with used the same basic shield technology, probably bought from the Mercantile Alliance. In the testing chamber, Tom set up a simple experiment. He placed one of the alien sensor devices they'd left behind on a table. Next to it, he arranged different metal samples: iron, copper, aluminum, and lead. "Computer, record all readings," Tom ordered. He activated the sensor. It scanned each metal in turn, barely registering the first 3. But when it reached the lead sample, its readings went wild before the device suddenly shut down. Their sensors can't even properly scan lead, Tom realized. That's why they need our primitive refining methods. Their advanced technology is blind to it. Jack helped him run more tests. They found that lead didn't just block alien scanners. It seemed to actively interfere with most of their advanced technology. It was like the aliens had built their entire civilization on principles that completely overlooked one of Earth's most basic metals. "Your grandfather wasn't just being stubborn when he kept the old ways," Jack said, looking at the test results. "He might have accidentally preserved humanity's greatest advantage." Tom nodded, thinking about the implications. Every alien ship, every defense system, every piece of their advanced technology had the same weakness. And his family's primitive mining operation was one of the last places in the galaxy still producing the one thing that could bypass it all. "The Mercantile Alliance isn't coming back to buy us out," Tom said finally. "They're coming to eliminate a threat. We need to be ready." He picked up one of his grandfather's old lead bullets, holding it up to the light. Sometimes the oldest solutions were the best ones. The aliens had built their empire on energy shields and plasma weapons, forgetting the simple physics that any human child learned in school. "Send a message to the Miners Guild," Tom ordered. "Tell them we need an emergency meeting. And Jack, get these old guns cleaned up. I have a feeling we're going to need them." The emergency meeting of the Mars Miners Guild took place in an old bunker deep beneath the surface. Representatives from the few remaining independent mining operations sat around a rough wooden table, examining the evidence Tom had brought. "So that's why they've been buying up all the old mines," said Pete Anderson, who ran the last independent iron operation on Mars. "They're eliminating their weakness." Tom placed his grandfather's lead bullet in the center of the table. "They've been careful about it too, buying mines one at a time, converting them to new materials. Nobody noticed the pattern until now." "But we've got them," said Maria Torres, representing the Earth Mining Coalition. She held up one of Tom's sensor readings. "They can't even properly scan for lead. Their whole empire has a blind spot. The room fell quiet as everyone considered the implications. Humanity, considered a backward race by galactic standards, had accidentally held onto the one thing that could pierce alien defenses. "We need to be smart about this," Tom said, standing up. "The Mercantile Alliance is coming back tomorrow, expecting to either buy us out or shut us down. But now we have leverage." He activated a holographic display showing the known galaxy. Their ships are everywhere. Their shield technology is used by every major species, and none of them can detect or stop a simple piece of lid. "So what's your plan?" Pete asked, leaning forward. Tom smiled. "We negotiate, not just for my mine, but for all of humanity." The next day, Tom waited in his conference room. This time, he wasn't alone. Representatives from every independent mining operation on Mars sat with him, along with a video feed to Earth's mining councils. When Trademaster Shell entered with its delegation, they stopped short at the sight of the gathered humans. "Mr. Walker," Shell said, its translator struggling to hide its concern, "we had hoped to conduct this business privately." "Change of plans," Tom replied calmly. "We're not here to sell. We're here to establish a partnership." He activated a screen showing a simulation of their earlier shield test. The aliens shifted uncomfortably as they watched their technology fail against simple lead. "Your shield technology is impressive," Tom continued. "It stops energy weapons, plasma, even antimatter. But it has a flaw. A flaw that we humans, with our primitive technology, discovered. This is dangerous knowledge," Shell warned, its skin changing colors rapidly. "Only if you make it dangerous," Maria interrupted. "We're not interested in causing trouble. We're interested in fair trade." Tom nodded. "Humanity joins the Galactic Council as equals. Our mining operations continue under our control. And in exchange, we help you fix this weakness in your technology." "You would share this knowledge?" Shell asked, clearly surprised. "We'll do better than that," Tom said. "We'll help you develop new shield technology that isn't vulnerable to lead. But we do it together, as partners. No more looking down on primitive human methods." The aliens huddled together, discussing in their own language. Tom could see the moment they realized they had no choice. Their entire civilization's defense systems were vulnerable, and humans were the only ones who could help them fix it. Shell turned back to the table. "Your terms are acceptable, though some in the Alliance will resist." "Then let them resist," Tom said firmly. "But remind them that there are still billions of lead bullets on Earth alone. And now every human knows exactly what they can do." The negotiation continued for hours, working out details and agreements. By the end, humanity had secured its place in the galaxy, not through advanced technology, but through understanding the basics that the aliens had forgotten. As Tom watched Shell sign the final agreement, he thought about his grandfather. The old man had always said that sometimes the simplest solutions were the best, looking at the mix of humans and aliens working together to solve a problem. Tom realized that maybe being primitive wasn't such a bad thing after all. News spread quickly through the galaxy. Within weeks of the agreement, ships from a dozen different alien species arrived at Mars, all wanting to see the humans who had outsmarted the mighty Mercantile Alliance. Tom stood at the observation deck of his newly expanded facility, watching alien vessels land alongside human cargo ships. Below, workers loaded carefully measured amounts of lead onto both human and alien transports. Each shipment was now carefully tracked and regulated under the new treaty. Another delegation from the Outer Rim arrived, Jack reported, joining him at the window. "They're offering advanced terraforming technology in exchange for our primitive mining expertise." Tom nodded, checking his datapad. The screen showed prices for lead across the galaxy, prices that had skyrocketed since their discovery went public. "How's the training program going?" "Better than expected," Jack replied with a grin. "Turns out these aliens are pretty quick learners once they stop looking down on our methods. Some of them are actually interested in why we kept using outdated technology for so long." In the main processing plant, human workers now worked alongside alien technicians. The aliens brought their advanced understanding of physics and energy manipulation, while the humans contributed their practical knowledge of basic materials and time-tested methods. Mr. Walker called out a familiar voice. Tom turned to see Shell approaching, its iridescent skin now a calm blue color that humans had learned meant contentment. The first batch of hybrid shields is ready for testing. They walked together to the testing chamber, where a team of human and alien scientists had set up their latest prototype. It was a perfect blend of advanced alien energy technology and basic human materials science. The new shields block everything, Shell explained, its translator now producing nearly perfect English. Lead, energy weapons, even those clever kinetic rounds your weapons makers developed. And it's all thanks to this partnership. Tom watched as they ran the tests. The shield flickered to life, its surface showing none of the weaknesses of the old models. A lead projectile bounced off harmlessly, just as it should. Not bad for a bunch of primitives, Tom said with a smile. Shell's skin rippled with what Tom now recognized as embarrassment. We were arrogant, it admitted. We became so focused on advancing our technology that we forgot the fundamental principles it was built on. Your people remembered what we forgot. Later that day, Tom received a message from the Earth Mining Coalition. More independent mining operations were opening up across the solar system, using the traditional methods his family had preserved. Humanity was carving out its own unique place in the galactic community, not by abandoning its past, but by embracing it. In his office, Tom added another photo to the wall beside his grandfather's old mining permits. It showed human and alien children at the new mining school, learning both advanced alien science and basic human engineering. The next generation would grow up understanding both worlds. Your grandfather would be proud, Jack said, bringing in the daily reports. We're not just selling lead anymore. We're teaching the galaxy why understanding the basics matters. Tom picked up an old lead bullet and a piece of the new hybrid shield material. Together, they represented the perfect balance of old and new, simple and advanced, human and alien. His family's primitive mind had become the cornerstone of a new era in galactic relations. You know what the funny thing is? Tom said, looking out at the busy loading docks where humans and aliens worked side by side. We didn't have to become like them to earn their respect. They had to remember how to be a little more like us. The sun was setting over Mars, casting long shadows across the facility that had started it all. In the distance, more ships were approaching, both human and alien, all coming to learn from the people who had remembered that sometimes the old ways were the best ways. Not everyone was happy with the new order. 3 months after the partnership began, Tom received an urgent message in the middle of the night. A radical faction of the Mercantile Alliance had broken away, declaring that humans needed to be put in their place. They've taken control of 6 warships. Shell reported during the emergency meeting. Its skin had turned a dark gray, a sign of extreme worry. They're led by Supreme Commander Bolt, one of our most traditional military leaders. Tom studied the tactical display, showing the rebel ships approaching Mars. How long until they get here? 2 hours, Shell replied. They've disabled their shield vulnerability alerts. They don't believe our warnings about lead. Tom smiled grimly. Then they're in for a surprise. He pressed a button on his communicator. This is Walker. Execute Protection Plan Alpha. Across Mars, hidden panels opened in the ground, revealing rows of what looked like ancient human artillery pieces. They were based on his grandfather's old designs, but built with a mix of human and alien technology. Each one was loaded with specially crafted lead ammunition. All mining operations begin emergency protocols, Tom ordered through the general channel. Get your people to the shelters. This is not a drill. In the command center beneath his facility, Tom watched as the rebel ships entered Mars orbit. Their shields glowed brilliantly, a display of advanced technology meant to intimidate. This is Supreme Commander Bolt, a harsh voice broadcast on all frequencies. Surrender your mining operations and submit to proper galactic authority, or we will destroy your primitive facilities. Jack handed Tom a headset. All batteries report ready, boss. Tom took a deep breath. Commander Bolt, this is Tom Walker. We've warned you about the lead vulnerability. Stand down, or we'll be forced to demonstrate it. Laughter came through the speakers. Your projectile weapons are useless against our advanced shields. This is your final warning. All batteries, Tom ordered calmly. Fire first salvo. The ground shook as dozens of artillery pieces fired simultaneously. Simple lead shells arced through the Martian sky toward the rebel ships. Through the command center's windows, Tom could see the alien shields light up as they prepared to deflect the attack. The lead shells passed through the shields like they weren't even there. Explosions bloomed across the rebel ships' hulls. Their shields, designed to stop energy weapons and advanced projectiles, were completely useless against the simple lead ammunition. Impossible. Bolt's voice crackled with static. Our shields are the most advanced in the galaxy. That's your problem, Tom replied. You forgot the basics. Second salvo fire. More lead shells streaked upward. The rebel ships tried to evade, but their damaged hulls made them slow and clumsy. Two of the ships lost power completely, drifting in orbit. Commander Bolt. Shell's voice cut through the chaos. Stand down. You've proven nothing except that pride and advanced technology are no match for understanding fundamental principles. The remaining rebel ships hung in orbit, their once mighty shields now flickering uselessly. Tom could almost imagine their crew's shock at being defeated by what they had dismissed as primitive weapons. This is Commander Bolt. The voice finally came back, much humbler now. We surrender. Later, as Alliance peacekeepers took the rebel crews into custody, Tom stood with Shell watching the cleanup operation. They thought advanced technology made them invincible, Shell observed. They never understood that true strength comes from respecting both the old and the new. Tom nodded, looking at the mix of human and alien crews working together to repair the damage. Sometimes you have to take a step back to move forward. My grandfather understood that. The crisis had proved what Tom had known all along. Humanity's strength wasn't in copying alien technology, but in remembering what the aliens had forgotten. As he watched the sun rise over Mars, he knew that the galaxy would never underestimate primitive human wisdom again. 5 years had passed since the rebel attack on Mars. Tom Walker stood at the podium in the newly built Galactic Mining Academy, looking out at the graduating class. Humans and aliens sat together, all wearing the same simple gray uniforms with the Academy symbol, a pickaxe crossed with an energy beam. When my grandfather insisted on keeping our old mining methods, Tom began his speech. People called him stubborn. They said he was holding on to the past, but he understood something that the galaxy had forgotten. Sometimes the old ways and the new ways need to work together. In the front row, he could see Shell, now the Academy's co-director, its skin glowing with pride. Next to Shell sat Tom's daughter, Lucy, who had just completed her training in both traditional mining techniques and advanced alien mineral extraction. Today, you graduate as the first class to master both human and alien mining methods. Tom continued. You understand both the simple physics of lead mining and the complex science of molecular extraction. This knowledge makes you unique in the galaxy. He gestured to the window, where both practical drills and advanced mining ships could be seen working side by side in the Martian landscape. The sight still amazed visiting aliens, the perfect blend of old and new technology working in harmony. The Walker Accords, Tom said, referring to the treaty that now governed galactic mining and technology sharing, weren't just about lead and shields. They were about remembering that progress doesn't always mean abandoning the past. In the years since the crisis, the partnership between humans and aliens had grown stronger. Human mining techniques were now taught throughout the galaxy, while alien technology had helped make those traditional methods safer and more efficient. Your generation, Tom continued, looking at the young faces before him, will be the first to truly bridge the gap between human and alien ways. You'll help build a galaxy where no technology, no matter how simple or advanced, is dismissed without understanding. Lucy caught his eye and smiled. She had grown up in this new world, equally comfortable with her grandfather's old drilling equipment and the latest alien mineral scanners. She represented everything the Academy stood for: respect for both tradition and innovation. And remembered, Tom said, reaching the end of his speech, the most important lesson we learned from all of this: true wisdom isn't about how advanced your technology is. It's about understanding the basic principles behind it. After the ceremony, Tom walked with Lucy through the Academy's museum. They stopped at a display case containing one of his grandfather's old lead bullets alongside pieces of the original alien shields it had defeated. "Dad," Lucy said, touching the glass, "do you think Grandpa knew about how important lead would become?" Tom shook his head. He just believed in understanding the basics before moving on to advanced techniques. Turns out that was exactly what the galaxy needed. Shell joined them, its skin shifting through happy colors. The latest survey shows that 90% of galactic mining operations now use a combination of human and alien methods. The old division between primitive and advanced is disappearing. Looking out at the Martian sunset, Tom could see ships taking off, graduates heading to mining operations across the galaxy. Each one carried the knowledge of both worlds, ensuring that the balance between old and new would continue. "You know what your grandfather used to say," Tom told Lucy as they watched the ships rise. "The universe is full of surprises, but the basic rules never change." Turns out he was right. We just had to remind the galaxy of that fact. As the sun set on Mars, casting long shadows across the Academy grounds, Tom thought about how far they'd come. From a simple lead mine to a revolution in galactic thinking. Sometimes the biggest changes started with the smallest things, like remembering that even in a universe of advanced technology, the simple solutions still mattered. The end.